we said!
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of the Peasants Perspective. It's holiday. There's background music. All right, it's holiday. Whedon Boys, welcome on YouTube. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. We did reach all of our goals last month. By the way, for those of you that were anxiously awaiting an update, we got exactly the number of chatters we needed. We'd have been broadcasting on Saturday, man. We'd have been like all day long. We're just looking for a couple new chats to drop in. So let's try to reach that goal a little earlier this month. I thought that was going to be like a no-brainer last month.
Oh, we have to do it again?
I know. Oh, my goodness. Speaking of, things reset on the Rumble side, but they didn't show anything else. Oh, look, we already have one unique chatter. Let's see who's the... Oh, it's a Frazier. Welcome. Okay. Let me get back to where I was here. Okay. Great. I have like a certain arrangement on my screen I have to have. If I don't have that arrangement, I just can't pull the show
OCD's
off.
kicking in.
Yeah, exactly. Got to be able to see everything. There's like 7 windows open.
Yeah.
Okay. So Labor Day today, the great unpeasant holiday, as I consider it. It's really only a holiday for like the upper middle class.
Yeah. I was thinking about that on my way in. It was like, the coffee stand's open. Well, let's see.
All the peasant work's open.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not government related. It's all open. In fact, peasants work harder today than almost any other day. It's like holiday overtime. You know?
Exactly.
Retail's all got to be open. If you work at any kind of vacation tourism spot, it's got to be open.
But traffic was definitely lighter this morning.
Yes,
Oof,
definitely.
Man, the roads were like sweet.
Yeah, the ferry wait times this weekend were something else.
Oh, yeah.
I had to use the ferry this weekend. Woo, boy. Long lines.
How many hours?
Well, so I caught it on the counter. Like I was going that way when people were coming this way.
Okay.
And so I
it worked
didn't
out
have
good for you.
I didn't have a super huge wait, but holy smokes, I got off the ferry and I saw the line. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not coming back. It's crazy. All right. So Donald Trump this weekend posted a tweet, and he's done this before. This isn't the first time he's done it where he's posted some Q tweet, but this is another one of those Q tweets. So he posted this little picture. The world will soon understand nothing can stop what's coming. So everybody knows that this nothing can stop what's coming is practically a patented Q phrase. But what's even more here is he's got the little Q plus sign in his hand. So the Q plus is supposed to be Trump, like Q plus and Q plus plus. When Q would post that was allegedly Trump posting, right?
Okay.
Anyways, it's the Q lore. It was not the first time Trump's posted something like this, but pretty interesting.
Wouldn't it be wild if we find out that Trump has been Q the whole time?
Oh, man.
I don't think he's got time for that.
Well, who knows? Some smart, intelligence-y people have looked into it pretty deeply, like Patrick Byrne.
Right.
And he's like, I don't know who runs it, but it's definitely military intelligence. So I don't know why he thinks that, but Trump posted this morning. So of all the MAGA supporters and all the Trump supporters, there's one issue that divides the MAGA base more than any other issue. And that is the issue over Operation Warp Speed, the COVID vaccines and all that. Trump obviously took the vaccine himself. His family took it. He pushed it and didn't push it mandate wise, but pushed it like, this is the solution to all of our problems. As soon as we have this thing to market, we can open up the economy. If you want the vaccine, take the vaccine. But that was his whole, we saved millions of lives.
Yep.
But then you've got RFK on the other side being like, nah, I don't think so. And if you remember, we played this clip a while ago. It was John Rich when he was at dinner with Donald Trump and Lindsey Graham. And Donald Trump asked John Rich, John, when I mention Operation Warp Speed and the vaccines at rallies. I get booed. Why? And he's like, because people think it's a death shot and people are going to die and everybody knows somebody who's died. It's horrible. We think it's wiping out humanity. He's like, oh. And Lindsey Graham was like, Donald, you can't believe that. People think you're a conspiracy theorist. And John Rick was like, I'm talking. I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Donald Trump put this tweet out this morning. He says, it is very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree. With CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer and I want it now. I have been shown information from Pfizer and others that is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. So now Donald Trump is openly saying, I've been shown things that are not being shown to the public. Why would that be? Let's speculate before we continue.
I can tell you right now, the numbers are doctored.
That's my immediate thought is the numbers are doctored. You're showing the guy that can make the decision,
yes,
the good news, and then you're not releasing it to the public because you don't want it to be criticized.
Yes.
Do you think Donald Trump can read one of these big surveys and all the tabs and, sift through it? Probably not, at least not the way it's being presented. So why not? They go off to the next hunt and let everyone rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug company's COVID work. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. I want them to show them now to CDC and the public and clear up this mess one way or the other. I hope Operation Warp Speed was brilliant, as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter, President DJT. I know there are a lot of Maha people out there right now who are like, this is what we wanted Trump to do all along. I think a lot of people can forgive Trump for COVID and Operation Warp Speed, but, he's held the line. He's saved millions of lives. It was the best thing. If I wasn't president, we'd still be in COVID, right?
Yeah.
And here he is coming out being like, let's find out the truth. He's putting himself in the camp of maybe I was lied to too.
And politics is messy.
Nothing can stop what's coming, Ron. Nothing can stop what's coming. Johnny Midnight posted this out from Mikey B2025. He said, the vax is to reduce population. So before I read this whole post here, there's this element of by your fruits ye shall know them. Mm-hmm. And this is something that we can always take a step back and go, okay, what's that in the aggregate? What is this doing? Okay. So if you believe in a bigger good and bad paradigm and you believe that Satan is going to manipulate things one little step at a time, right? He's going to make things that are bad appear to be good. He's going to do the classic thing that Ayn Rand talks about. He's going to weaponize your virtue against you. He's going to get you to self-cannibalize by sacrificing everything you are and can be, et cetera, down to nothing, right? So this post here, the vaccine is to reduce population. If we, with the numbers we've looked at from all the, increase in all-cause mortality, the increase in turbo cancers, the increase in suicide, all of that stuff, it all aggregates together. The vax was to reduce population. Sex reassignment is to reduce population, clearly. That's the net aggregate result. After-birth abortion is to reduce population. Planned Parenthood is to reduce population. Nearly every government program is designed to reduce population. Get the picture yet?
Or control it for sure.
Yeah. So this is something that I've looked at as I have studied history. Government gets set up by the people, but immediately the people become the enemy to the government. But the people don't know that yet, right? Yeah. Because they think that it's their creature. But government inevitably becomes the monster to Dr. Frankenstein.
Well, it gets loose and a little bit wild.
Right? So all of these things, why do we want vaccines? So that we can live. But what's the aggregate result? More people die, right? Why do we want sex reassignment surgery? So that we can live a more fulfilled life. But what happens to society? You take yourself out of the
okay, this is a really great point, and I think you're on one here. So why is it that humanity and people believe that these things are doing good?
In my opinion, and this is my opinion, stems from a bastardization of the concept of original sin, that man is inherently bad. Okay, and then that cascades forward when you get into the secular world that man is bad, man is a parasite, man is not redeemable, man is destroying the balance of the earth. We're the only creature that lives out of balance or has the capacity to live out of balance, right? So that extension, that thought kind of becomes weaponized. Instead of looking at our original sin from a position of humility and in a position of want for a savior, that this is not talking about, you were born as an infant baby and you're already guilty of murder. No, that's not what innocent sin, that concept was supposed to help us to understand. It was to help us to understand that by ourselves we are nothing, and that we need, God, the universe, the balance, or whatever to make up the difference. And the idea that we are ultimately dependent upon creation and a child of it simultaneously, and that we can call upon it for sustenance, just like a child has ability to call upon its creator, its parents. So it's that parallel. But there's a certain group of people that when they call upon, when they do their rain dance, the rain doesn't come. So like they become bitter.
The dudes that pray to Baal.
Yeah, they become bitter. And so then they go, well, it's humanity in general. And then that mind virus just cascades forward. That's my opinion of it. Right. So sex reassignment is to reduce population, right? To love yourself over your neighbor. After birth abortion is reduced population. Planned Parenthood is reduced population, clearly. Right. But for what reason? Oh, for the sustainability of humanity. So kill yourself, kill your children, but it's good for society. And for those of you that listened last week, I shared the story about the health department director that was talking about COVID. He's like, well, if I die, I die. And, we need to reduce the population anyways. And, like, I didn't even know where to start. Like, I'm pretty rarely with cat got my tongue, and I didn't even know what to say. I was like, so people dying is a good thing? And like, you actually cheer every time there's a natural disaster and a few thousand people die. You're thinking that's like, taking the pressure off.
If I didn't believe in that people were redeemable, I would just say, go ahead and kill yourself. Just if you've got that kind of mindset, just go ahead and check out.
Just go ahead and check out. Yeah. It's scary.
I don't think I want you setting policy for the rest of us.
Yeah. Seriously. So we're going to play 2 clips from John Brennan here, and he kind of lets a couple things out of the bag. Obviously, he's being targeted right now by the Trump administration for what clearly look like some nefarious activities.
Crimes against humanity.
Yep. But in light of what I just read there about every government program, ultimately the net aggregate is less population. Like that's by your fruits you shall know them. If everything they're doing is killing us, from the food supply to the medical industry to the education industry that doesn't prepare us very well to, go on.
And because
our
virtue is weaponized against us, we just seem to ignore the results and the fruits, and for some reason we just kind of keep playing along with
we
this.
get stuck in this don't judge me thing.
Yeah,
like don't judge them. They're trying to do their best. They're doing their job. It's like, what if their job is to kill you? Have you considered that for a second? So this is we're going to play a couple clips from John Brennan, and he touches on a lot of things, but the thing I want you to hear, tune your ears to, is these CIA workers who are worried if they are going to be able to accomplish their mission. Well, what is your mission exactly? And so it has. Let me change over my audio. Was that really the first video we were about to play?
I think so.
Wow. We got like 15 minutes in, 10 minutes in. That's
wow. It seems like an hour.
Seems like forever. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go.
And so it has sent a very chilling message throughout the CIA workforce. And I know that many of these individuals in the CIA are worried about their future. And they're agonizing, quite frankly, over whether they want to continue to be a part of administration that uses the institutions of governance for its own agenda, or whether or not they need to look elsewhere. And so, again, this has just been something that I know that our foreign counterparts, the intelligence services, of Great Britain and France and others, are watching what is happening here, and we're hollowing out the world's most important and most influential intelligence agency, the CIA, and doing it in a way that really, again, is trying to fulfill an agenda of a president who has not the American interests at heart, but all his personal agenda.
Whoops. Kind of let something slip there, and then he's backpedal like a mofo.
Yeah, exactly. Right here, right.
The CI workforce. And I know that many of these individuals in the CI are worried about their future. And they're agonizing, quite frankly, over whether they want to continue to be a part of administration that uses the institutions of governance for its own agenda.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that part.
Exactly.
What the heck?
Masterclass in projection. Right? If he'd be like, I think the CIA wants to be, if they were like, they want to be a part of
Reputationally,
a
you can damage them
that,
financially.
looks after the better of the goodness of the people. But like if he phrased it like that, like they're torn because they're such good people and they think Trump's bad. Instead, they're like, well, they think Trump's going to do what we've been always doing, which is weaponize a government, right? Yeah. So here's another clip.
Convict someone, we will name them and shame them. And that seems to be largely what's guiding them here, no?
That seems to be the intention, which is to damage individuals. You can damage them reputationally, you can damage them financially, professionally, and so on. And so by putting out these investigations or making these referrals or whatever, it does.
He's got those almost like on bullet points. Like, here's how we take someone out. We damage them reputation. We damage their finances. We damage this.
Yeah, we got a department for each one of those.
We got a whole, like, it's like out of the manual. He just bullet pointed down what you can do to someone.
But our guys are worried that they're not going to be able to do all these weaponizations. They really want to go after people.
Yeah.
So on. And so by putting out these investigations or making these referrals or whatever, it does a lot of damage already, even if it never goes to trial or doesn't go to a conviction or whatever. And that's the intent. And unfortunately, Donald Trump, who, President of the United States, has tremendous authority and ability to use the instruments of governance. When I was watching that cabinet meeting this week, it was absolutely nauseating that all these individuals were fawning over him, but are so willing to be manipulated and be exploited by him. And you're talking about the Attorney General of the United States, the Department of Justice, that is supposed to be the institution that's going to...
All I can think of is Barack Obama.
All I can think of is
fawning over him, and they won't even like.
Yes, that, and he's just so jealous that he's getting all these people to do their bidding when he's like, I want them to do my bidding.
Yeah.
Represent the laws and liberties and freedoms of this country to make sure that they are going to be protected. And so, again, it's very unfortunate that Donald Trump has been able to do this, much different than in his first term, because in his first term, he had people who were willing to push back. This time, he...
Oh, this time, no pushback.
No pushback. Yeah, no pushback. Okay. We don't have our cronies in there. Speaking of, I got word yesterday that the FBI agent that was listening to the podcast and went on the apparently he quit the FBI.
Oh.
Yeah. So word I got was don't ever trust law enforcement. Don't talk to cops, any cops ever for any reason. He would even go so far as say, honey, you shouldn't even trust me because you shouldn't tell me things if you hear anything. Like he just went off. He's like, don't ever talk to cops.
Hey, does he want to come on the podcast?
We'll see. We'll see. But apparently he got sent out to go looking into January 6th stuff, came back and there's no there. And the main office was like, oh, yes, there is. We're going to be charging those people. And it ultimately, and then he knew my situation and couldn't reach out because then he'd get more crap from them because he knew we were being watched. And it just on and on it goes, right? Mm-hmm. But again, it kind of comes back to this, government has one agenda. It's either our agenda or it's its own. If it's its own, it inevitably leads to population reduction because the carrots and the sticks, the internal logic of it, more people to manage, more problems. Especially in a situation like we have now where you have so much automation of the economy, you have control over the distribution of actual capital, like they don't need you.
I actually think that a lot of our commercialism, this is me going out on a limb here, not a very long limb, but it's strong too.
Yeah.
That a lot of our commercialism is designed around this as well. And our food pyramid in particular has been designed to keep population in check so that the population in general is easier to manipulate and control.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's definitely and this is one, again, you can go down these rabbit holes, right? Where it's like the dumbing down of America. Mm-hmm. The education system stops teaching critical thinking.
Right. Why?
Right. The education system, as well as the way society's been structured with the 2-income household, the degradation of the family, and that being your core. Like when all else fails, you're supposed to have family. Right. But yet now families are becoming smaller and smaller. They're becoming less and less connected with their extended families.
Yep. Politically, they're becoming bastardized.
Yes, exactly. The food system in America keeps you fat, lazy, out of energy,
sedentary. Talking to your doctor.
You're basically going from food coma to food coma.
Yep. And you probably are going to need some meds of some kind.
Big article out this weekend talking about America's in a sex recession. We're not having enough, right? And
too much porn.
Too much porn. People are overweight. That's what Scott Adams says. Is go sit on a park bench and people walk by. He says we've literally eaten ourselves out of attractiveness. Honestly,
yeah.
Right. And I can look in a mirror. I own a mirror. I have a problem too. You know what I mean? Like I'm not at my tippy top shape, right? But he mentions like this is like every factor, right? I'm sure you've got low testosterone in men, the food supply, the estrogen, pushing whey protein on bodybuilders.
We might be short on testosterone, but the Happy Box, the radio keeps telling me I'm short for sure, whether I am or not.
Those are targeted ads, Ron.
Uh-oh.
I got a dog. All of a sudden I get dog ads. I don't know. But it's a big problem, right? I mean, and it's coming from all angles. I think that's where RFK is looking at it. He's like, it's not just one thing. It's vaccines, it's food, it's aerosols in the air.
It's everything.
It's microplastics. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. So with all of that, is it almost time for an ad read? I got barely people.
Well, let me also say before we get to there, it's so big and it is so encompassing in our lives that it just becomes this thought of, well, this is just the way life is, and there's nothing you can do about it because the problem is so big, and you don't really know how life would be different because this is just the way it's always been.
It'll be interesting to see with the changes to the EBT card. It used to be fat people meant wealth, skinny people meant poverty. Now it's kind of the other way around, right? Wealthy people can afford to eat organic and healthy food. Fat people get stuck with, a bunch of high fructose corn syrup products and stuff like that. It's interesting with the shift in welfare benefits, not being able to buy ultra processed foods and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see if that can change the trend over a few years. Right. It'll be interesting to see. I'm curious if the average weight of the welfare recipient drops based on quality of food. That'll be really fascinating to find out.
All right. You ready for an ad?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. NCAA tune in.
Oh, it's basketball season.
The countdown is over. The rivals are real. The road to the championship begins on August 23rd. Westwood One Sports brings you every electrifying moment of NCAA football from the first snap to the final whistle. Pro teams, big plays, unforgettable Saturdays. Don't miss a second of the action. Listen to NCAA football on rumble.com, the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's sports, it's on Westwood One.
I know my dad has an Alexa, so Alexa, open up Westwood One.
I got to redo the whole read.
You got to redo the whole thing?
I got to reread the whole thing.
What?
I screwed up. The countdown is over. Oh. Rivalries are real. And the road to the championship begins on August 23rd, which doesn't make any sense. Westwood One Sports brings you every electrifying moment of NCAA football. From the first snap to the final whistle, top teams, big plays, unforgettable Saturdays. Don't miss a second of the action. Listen to NCAA football on rumble.com, the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's sports, it's on Westwood One.
That second read through was real pro, Ron. That was really good. Your best one yet.
The first one was just...
Yeah, next time we're going to do a dry run and then we'll go real. That was really good. Yeah. I think they're going to like that one. Good job.
We're going to earn our pennies.
We're going to earn our pennies. Yeah, exactly. Our $5 from all of last month. Okay. So this is Dr. Marty McCary, and he's coming out of the CDC. And so there's this big scandal that happened over the last couple of days. I think we covered it on Friday, right? CDC director has only been there 4 weeks, quits, and 4 other top scientists, doctors, whatever, quit along with her. There's a big, all the people came out on the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah. We're so
okay. So this is some speculation. Dr. McCary talking about why she quit, why she, kind of what's going on over there. And we're going to play a couple clips from, because there was some fallout on the weekend news over this CDC issue. This is another one of these like holy grail spots. The Federal Reserve, don't talk about it, don't touch it. CDC, NIH, oh yeah, they're bipartisan. Just let them run on autopilot. Fauci's been there for 30 years. Don't worry about it, So this is what Dr. McCary has to say.
The woke world has exploded. I mean, this is like a neutron bomb going off with the firing of the former CDC director, Susan Menares. Why was she fired?
Well, look, David, I don't know, but the CDC needs an extremely strong leader. It's a broken agency. This is an agency that with 20,000 employees could not generate a website to track the COVID virus. It was eventually created by one Johns Hopkins grad student. He created a COVID website that the world used. And it's not just 1 or 2 mishaps at the CDC. Culturally, operationally, scientifically, they've lost their mission. They propagate dogma. They pushed cloth masks on toddlers for 3 years. They insisted schools shut out children for nearly 2 years using a phony pseudoscience document that the teachers union edited, and those edits appeared in the final document. They made up 6 feet. They pushed vaccine boosters in young, healthy people. So the CDC needs a realignment, and it needs an extremely strong leader.
Well, the other thing they did, and you and I were talking about it at the time during the height of the pandemic, they seem to be cooking the statistics. I mean, making it appear as though there were no ill effects of the vaccine, that it was a 100% successful vaccine, 100% effective. And of course, you mentioned the children. I mean, the fact that the adverse consequences of children taking the vaccine were higher than the possibility of serious illness among those same children.
Yeah, David, it became extremely partisan in the last administration. In the Biden administration, the ACIP committee and the CDC fired Martin Kulldorff, who was a leading Harvard epidemiologist and vaccine expert. And that was the sort of scientific intolerance that has marked the culture of the CDC in the last 4 years. And that's why public trust is low. They ignored natural immunity. They came up with their own sham studies and published it in their own medical journal that had no peer review. So it's time.
Just FYI, this is the current FDA commissioner talking.
To rebuild public trust. And the way we do that as healthcare leaders is to show some humility and to invite a civil discourse. And that's what we're seeing right now as part of the new leadership strategy in this administration.
So they just want to look at the information, have some discourse, leave the ideology aside, get out of the business of telling people to wear cloth masks, right? And this is causing huge trepidation over at the CDC.
Why?
Well, let's hear from one of the fired people. We're going to hear a couple things from this gentleman. So this is Dmitry Daskalakis. Hold on.
I got to see this.
Daskalakis.
Whoa.
Which is clearly Greek. Okay. I think I'd be better at saying. I had the end of the name right. Daskalakis. I don't know. Maybe that's how you say it. I give everybody grace when they mispronounce my last name, even though it's just John. Okay, so this is him talking on MSNBC about quitting and what RFK is doing, and we're going to listen to a couple clips from him.
Well, and to boil down what you're saying, Secretary Kennedy has long pushed the disputed claim that there's a link between vaccines for children and autism. This has been debunked by the science for the past more than 2 decades now.
Okay. So this
I don't know who she is, but she always has this deer in the headlights look.
Oh, I know, right? She's like, I'm just waiting for her eyes to blink this way like a reptile. Apologize to all reptilian-eyed people out there. It just is what it is. Okay, so anyways, it's just been debunked. Like that vaccines cause autism. This has been debunked for decades. I'm pretty sure the actual directors now in charge of these institutions are saying what studies we have don't say that this has been debunked, and they haven't been released for a reason.
Is that the crux of your concern? And is that the crux of the argument with Susan Menares, that there's going to be an attempt to push that type of policy forward, an ideology forward?
I mean, let's make a list. The secretary went on a video and said that that mRNA vaccines didn't do anything in the pandemic, and they're the most dangerous vaccines known to humanity. That's wrong. That's untrue. The vaccines for COVID helped end the pandemic, and their safety track record is strong. There are safety issues. Yes, people do have adverse events. There's no such thing as a zero risk vaccine, nor is there such a thing as a 100% effective vaccine. So that's number one. We can also talk about the fact that, there is, I think that we have signals that there's going to be retrofitting of data or analyses of data that.
We have signals that there's going to be retrofitting of data. These people, is that a thing? Shouldn't we have a system that it's impossible to retrofit data? Like, if it's just, they can just
it's cooking the numbers.
Scott Adams points this out. He's like, they have this tendency to refer to the things that they're being accused of doing because it's possible. Actually, it wasn't Scott Adams, it was Devin Nunes. He says, they'll say things like, "Oh, Devin, this other person must have known about it because you must have leaked it to him." And he's like, "No, I filed it in such and such place, and then it went to such and such committee in a SCIF, and then so-and-so was able to read it in the SCIF, and that's how he found out." There's a chain of custody all the way through. You guys are the ones that just leak to your friends and then just imply that, they must have seen it in a SCIF or something, but there's no paper trail showing how it got from one place to another, right? But you just leave it to us like, you only find those things in a SCIF and we wouldn't break the rules. But then the moment some damning information comes out with you're like, well, you guys must have broken the rules to get the information out. And it's like, we don't do that. He's like, that's why you had to raid Mar-a-Lago. Trump had the documents, right? We don't do those kind of things. And so when he's like, they're going to retrofit the data, blah, blah, blah. Good people don't do that. So why are you thinking that that's a possibility? If the CDC and the FDA and these departments all have their policies all locked down and they're all good to go, this shouldn't even be a concern.
Really aren't based in any good scientific methods that are going to come to a conclusion that something is causing autism as well as other diseases related to vaccines. I think alum is going to be pointed at. That is another part of the vaccine that makes sure that it causes the immune system to react appropriately to protect people from the pathogen that they're being vaccinated against. They're going to have a story about alum. They already had a story about thimerosal that led to
So he's telling us they already had a story about thimerosal.
Keep going.
I mean, they're gonna have another story about alum, which we've cleared for years. But I mean, it's, by the way, he's talking about aluminum. Okay, it's cleared for years, but now they're gonna say it's bad. So they're gonna say that what we were doing in the past was bad. Do you see how this just sounds like pre-cover up desperation?
Removal of thimerosal from the 4% of influenza vaccines that had it. That's not a very big win. Based on science that is really debunked. The FDA website right now has a website that is very clear showing that thimerosal, that preservative, does not have any adverse events associated with it, especially in the space of autism and other neurocognitive issues. Nevertheless, because there's a half truth somewhere in there that maybe it's great to prevent having people being exposed to anything extra that they don't need. We get to the place where a hunch is enough to remove a vaccine from the market. That is not a good precedent.
I feel like they use a hunch to put a vaccine on the vaccine schedule.
Yeah. So hold on. He just said something there that's very, very important. Because there's a half truth in there somewhere, there's doubt. Well, that's exactly why we wanted to do this podcast, because we want to address some doubts about, efficacy and all these numbers. There is some doubt. And when,
when you have to put up construction paper to count votes in the windows, it makes us doubt your process, let alone the count.
Yeah. So I got a fortune in a fortune cookie one time, and the fortune on this fortune cookie was not really a fortune. It was just like a moral code saying, and it was so important to me. I've held on to that thing and I keep it in my pocket, and I've had it for the last like 20 years. And this slip of paper says, a half truth is a whole lie.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lie in there somewhere. Yeah. And I think we want to uncover it.
Yes. And it's like what Trump's tweet, whether it was good or bad, it's time to find out.
Yes.
Like, because we can't have these two camps of one side believing one thing and another side believing another, and both sides are looking at each other's science and going, well, your science is flawed. Your science is debunked.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just for context on this doctor here, Dr. Daskalakis. I feel horrible pronouncing his name because it's Greek. I should have used, it's got the same last four letters of my last name. All right. So this is from Plus magazine. Neil Patrick Harris on his modern HIV masterpiece. This is the doctor here, the good doctor. The CDC's unconventional new HIV czar. Okay. We can ditch our daily pills, COVID-19 vaccine 101, and fighting drug resistance. And this is him with a nice pentagram bondage outfit on his chest. And here's a couple more pictures of him, just wearing the pentagram and the tattoos. So this is our good doctor here at the CDC that's in charge of HIV medication. And I mean, he's very serious about it too. I mean, this is him telling people they need to get tested.
Well, CDC, we're really excited. If you go to one of our handles, our social media handles at Stop HIV Together, you can order a free take-home HIV test. It gets delivered to your house. So it's self-testing. So there's so many ways to do it.
That's amazing because your privacy and everything is right there.
Yeah, everyone should be tested for HIV. And I think that especially in the LGBTQAI community, it's really important to remember that you should get tested again and you should get tested frequently. And really the message really is that there's something scary about it. Negative or positive, it doesn't matter.
It starts with the test.
It's the key that unlocks the door. Yeah. And so once you get that key in and you figure out your status, you can figure out what the right thing is to do for you. And that's like what our job is at CDC and in healthcare, is to make sure that we have lots of options for people, both for how they get tested and also how they engage in care and services. So, testing is the key. It's the gateway.
This is just a virus. It doesn't have that stigma that it did earlier.
Focusing on racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and that's a pride message, is so critical in actually ending the HIV epidemic and, frankly, all epidemics of infectious diseases.
These people are in charge of you. Everybody needs to get tested and tested often. Now, in this clip, and I know we're kind of going a long time on this CDC guy here, right? But it's just another one of those does anybody else see this? I'm good at talking and I almost have a hard time articulating how this is just diabolical.
Wow.
Right. So now in this clip here, he's going to be talking about hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is an STD. Okay. So they give it to all children when they're born, like seconds after being born, they're giving them an STD inoculation.
Unless you opt out.
But they don't ask you if you want to opt out or not. Now, here's the way it was explained to us. Okay. They don't want to ask mothers if they're promiscuous, and they don't want to test mothers for STDs. And some mothers may or may not have significant amounts of prenatal care and may or may not have been tested. So rather than just go, hey, mother, do you have an STD or are you promiscuous? If you are, and there's risk of hepatitis B, your baby should get this shot, right? Instead, they just go, we're going to give all babies this hepatitis B shot. Now, let's presume that not all vaccines are 100%, as he just said. That means you're giving 100% of babies a vaccine that is not 100% effective when you probably could give that vaccine to maybe 10% of babies. Do you see what I'm saying? So now, should that vaccine cause a side effect, the net result of side effects is going to be much larger and potentially amongst children that had no risk of hepatitis B at birth. Mm-hmm. You could clearly tell if the mother has hepatitis B through a simple blood test, right?
Yep.
But instead of doing that, they just give it to all the kids. Apparently, he doesn't like that. And you'll hear his justification.
By Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, who stepped down this week from his position leading the CDC's national
Keep in mind, by his own words in the last clip at the Pride event, when he's talking about HIV testing, he's talking about a stigma and that people are stigmatized by even getting tested. So you don't want to do that. That's what's so great about the take-home test. You can just order it. It goes
It's
home.
private in your own
home. You don't even
home.
have to go to the clinic. Nobody has to see you there. It's just private, right? Because we don't want to impose on people and ask them about their personal lives.
For immunization and respiratory diseases. Thank you for joining us this morning, Doctor. You have been at the CDC for 5 years, about 7 months under Secretary Kennedy. In your resignation letter, you said that the CDC is generating policies that do not reflect scientific reality and are designed to hurt rather than improve the public's health. What are you talking about specifically?
I mean, I'm going to say, well, first, thank you for having me on, Martha. And I'll say that we're seeing the tip of the iceberg. So right now, I think probably the most prominent demonstration of that is what Secretary Kennedy did with changing the childhood schedule for COVID-19. In that, we were directed that only children with underlying conditions would be the ones that should qualify for vaccination. That's not what the data shows. 6-month-old to 2-year-old, their underlying condition is youth. 53% of those children hospitalized last season had no underlying conditions.
He's trying to tell you that the underlying condition that justifies getting max vaccination and vaccinating all children is their youth. And that children hospitalized with COVID, many of them were not vaccinated, so their comorbidity or their underlying condition was youth.
The data say that in that age range, you should be vaccinating your child. I understand that not everybody does it, but they have limited access by narrowing that recommendation. Insurance may not cover it.
And you say designed to hurt. The policies are designed to hurt the public's health. Are you saying they are deliberately, purposely, knowingly hurting public health?
I mean, from my vantage point as a doctor who's taken the Hippocratic Oath, I only see harm coming. I may be wrong, but based on what I'm seeing, based on what I've heard with the new members of the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, or ACIP, they're really moving in an ideologic direction where they want to see the undoing of vaccination. They do want to see the undoing of mRNA vaccination. They have a very specific target on COVID, but I do fear that they have other things that they are going to be working on. Hepatitis B vaccine is on the agenda for the meeting in September. I predict that what they're going to do is try to change the birth dose of hepatitis B vaccine so that kids don't get it when they're born. So if you have a mother who is well connected to care, you know her hepatitis B status, that may not matter very much. But if you have a mother who's not gone to prenatal care, who comes in to deliver, we have one bite at that apple so that child gets that important hepatitis B vaccine. Why does it matter? Kids who have hepatitis B, they get liver scarring. It's called cirrhosis later in life. Or it's a really common cause of liver cancer.
Yeah.
So is alcohol.
Yeah. A little bit of fear thrown in there at the end.
Yeah. Well, they're going to go with this hepatitis B vaccine, which is a completely pointless vaccine if the mother doesn't have hepatitis B.
Yeah.
There's just no need to give it.
And you don't have one bite at the apple. That's retarded. Yeah. What a dummy.
She's there. Test her. Blood everywhere. Literally.
Jeez.
So bad. Oh, so the CDC is being shooken up. I look at it all as a good sign. When people are walking out and they're like, hey, those guys in there are going to get rid of the stuff that we've been doing to you guys for years. I'm like, more, please. Yes, fire them all. Don't even want it. Don't even want it. So Secretary Kristi Noem was on Face the Nation this weekend, and this has happened a couple times. It makes me think it happens every weekend. It's just only occasionally does the interviewer decide they're going to do this, but they record their own, and then we get to see the aired versus the uncut version here. So this is Kristi Noem talking about Maryland dad, Abrego Garcia, and his, the allegations made against him and deportation, et cetera, et cetera. It's very fascinating what CBS aired versus what was actually recorded.
And the one thing that we will continue to do is to make sure that he doesn't walk free in the United States of America.
Okay,
This individual.
So at that moment, CBS cut to a studio shot, and the rest of what you're listening to was unaired.
Was a known human smuggler, a MS-13 gang member, an individual who was a wife beater, and someone who was so perverted that he solicited nude photos from minors. And even his fellow human traffickers told him to knock it off. He was so sick in what he was doing and how he was treating small children. So he needs to never be in the United States of America, and our administration is making sure we're doing all that we can to bring him to justice. And
there is some type of sick pride that, again, weaponization of our virtue, that comes from a people that are so virtuous that they project their virtue onto the system itself and take pride in helping get the dirt baggiest, scummiest people of the planet off.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, our system is so noble that it can get, that a dirtbag can get off because of process, because we're so above getting our hands dirty that if the law fails, we don't fail. Does that make sense? That like, it's this weird mentality where nobody can just do the right thing. There has to be a piece of paper telling you to do it. And that's where the attorneys come in. They go, oh, look, a loophole. You know, the paper doesn't tell you can get justice. Oh, this guy's a complete dirtbag. He traffics kids. You know, not too long ago, some man would have just handled this out in the field. You know what I mean? And instead, you've got this situation where you have legitimate, serious attorneys that are like, this man needs asylum. He needs to stay here. It's like the trafficker that the other traffickers thought went too far. You know, it's crazy. But of course, they cut that out on what was aired. And there was a second clip this weekend, that same thing. They were saying the same thing, and they got cut off when they went off to talk about, well, this Alberto Garcia is not really a good guy. Ah! We're trying to defend due process, not him. Pick a better person. You know what I mean? Pick the guy up in Maine that was the cop that was an illegal alien. Like, that guy probably could pass a background check. He just happened to be illegal. You know what I mean? Pick that guy. Let's get Maine cop that's about to be deported. Why are we doing Maryland dad? It's horrible. But then at the same time, part of me wonders if the Trump administration likes having this Garcia guy being the poster child for this, because he's so not.
It's so easy.
It's so easy to be like, look, they're defending that.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So the other scandal that was going on all last week that is continuing is this situation with Lisa Cook. And the more I step back.
How is this continuing?
She won't leave.
Oh, jeez.
The more I step back and the more I hear the different voices talking about each one of these big scandals. You've got the Russiagate grand conspiracy scandal with the open grand juries. You've got the CDC being really legitimately turned inside out, right? People are being fired. Policies are being changed rapidly. You've got the EPA that has been gutted, that is clawing back funds, has gotten rid of entire sections of code and regulations, like not change them, not gone back to a previous version, like the emission standards. Like when they said, are you going back to 2008 emission standards? There will be no standards. We're not going back to anything. We're going to none. Right?
Beautiful.
Repeal and not replace. Okay?
Beautiful.
So they're gutting the EPA. These are power centers, right? Not only for distribution of money, but control. Right. If you can tell grandma that her backyard wetland is navigable waterways and is under federal jurisdiction, you know what I mean? You've got a lot of control when you can tell her if she can or can't put a garden shed in. Then you've got the military, which they're getting out all the woke stuff, you know, canceling a lot of things, becoming very much more oriented towards actual war fighting. That's pretty significant. Then you've got the cleaning out of ODNI. 40% of the staff has been fired. That's pretty significant. USAID, which was a front for the CIA, has been eliminated completely. And what few remaining grants that they wanted to continue have been sucked into the State Department. They're going after the Federal Reserve, right? Constantly too late, pal. This isn't just a bicker over interest rates. It's a full-on attack on the Federal Reserve. If preserving the Federal Reserve was the priority, they wouldn't go after Lisa Cook. They would quietly go, look, you've done this, and they would either use a little blackmail and get her to lower rates or do whatever, or they would just ignore it. this is damaging the institution of the Fed. Everything Trump is doing is he's looking at these institutions and he's making them justify their existence. It is such a big thing that's happening right now on every front that the news doesn't have enough time to figure out what to bark about. And a good majority of the things that Trump is doing are totally legitimate. Did I tell you about how they found out about Lisa Cook's? Was this Friday? How they found out about Lisa Cook's mortgages?
What do you mean? How do they found out?
Okay, so I was curious how it is that they caught Lisa Cook. Wait, was this just a review? Was this like, she makes some financial disclosures and someone went and looked, you've got rentals, but yet you don't have rental mortgages. You've got second home and primary resident mortgages. Like what triggered it? It's the AI, this Palantir program that they're using. They loaded in the entire mortgage database, 50 million mortgages. And they came up with presumably thousands of these exact situations where they cross-reference IRS data where people had claimed a rental property, but then their mortgage data said it was a primary residence, or you know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
So they were able to get all these red flags. Guess who shows up on the list? Out of 50 million mortgage applications, these 3 mortgages of Lisa Cook in 3 separate states. Right? This was AI. This was Palantir that went through years old documents and sorted through it and flagged it. And this is where Polte is making his referrals. And allegedly he's made hundreds of referrals based on the AI going through stuff. This is my fear, by the way. That when I read that article, I was like, oh! Right? Because that is like, oh, great. You're going after some, Adam Schiff. Oh, yeah, he's got a couple mortgages. And Letitia James. Oh, my goodness. They showed up on the list. And so did my brother-in-law. And so did, you know what I mean? Why? He wanted a lower interest rate. I've said this so many times. I've said it recorded long before this. It's my belief that there aren't mortgage brokers out there that haven't committed mortgage fraud, right? Like, I don't know how you do it after Frank Dodd. Seems like everybody has to check a box that maybe should or should not be checked. I just figured it was part of the control structure. They just want everybody to have broken a few rules so they could enforce them later. Anyways, pretty scary stuff. So this is CNN's legal analyst, and he's talking about Lisa Cook and this scandal, and even CNN agrees she might have to go.
There is some suspicious activity here that's really problematic by Lisa Cook. Let me just sort of try to bottom line it. There's 3 properties, okay? Within a 2-week stretch, she gets a mortgage on a place in Michigan and says that's her principal residence. 2 weeks later, she gets a mortgage on a place in Atlanta, in Georgia, and says that's her primary residence. And now there's a 3rd place in Cambridge that she said was her secondary residence, but she's actually renting it out. Now, why would someone do all this? Because you get better interest rates, because you get better tax benefits. That can be worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thus far, and I find this really notable, in the briefs that have been submitted by Lisa Cook's lawyers, she was the plaintiff here. She filed the opening brief. No explanation of what she did, how this happened. There's some reference to maybe it's a clerical error. Today in court, Abby Lowell, very good lawyer, again, no explanation of how this happened. And the claim that this might be clerical error or just a mistake, that's not going to fly, because Lisa Cook is one of the most established, accomplished financial and economic experts in this country. And this is not just like any old person. Look, when you do a mortgage, there's all sorts of paperwork flying and terms, and maybe you can get confused or lost. I don't know if you're going to buy that from Lisa Cook. But the bottom line question, as Caitlin just said, is who has to show what here? I think that the allegations on their face could be enough for a judge to say, look, I'm going to defer to the president on cause. There's some.
Yeah. I think the whole firing for cause thing is kind of a scam. I think that cause is the president wants you gone.
Yeah, that's the cause.
That's the cause. Yeah. At this point, I think the pendulum reaction to these permanent government bureaucrats is no more employment protections. None. You can be fired today by a supervisor, and a supervisor can be fired by their supervisor, and on up the chain. I don't know. Maybe that creates instability. The ideology of the government changes every 4 years. Isn't that what we think was happening every time we vote? Like every time we elect a new president,
new cabinet.
Isn't that, things are finally going to change. After 4 years, they're like, I just finally got the stuff I requested the first week so I could make decisions back after 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, they take so long to get them information, and everything's on this cycle. In our mind, those of us who've been following like J6 and the Russiagate, it's like, what more information did you need? I'm surprised by January 23rd, 24th, we didn't have mass roundups. You know, I mean, what do you need? The internet's full of allegations.
Yeah.
So, but it just doesn't move that fast. All right. So this is another pundit talking about the Fed.
We are 19 days away from the September Fed meeting. And just think about this, Charles. The Supreme Court of the United States may need to step in to block this woman from trying to show up to vote. This is not how you conduct business in the most powerful economy in the world. This is like a third world African republic with a pegged currency that the central bank is coming in to sue the president and the Supreme Court needs to get involved. This is precisely what Lisa Cook is trying to do. And let's be honest, this affects Fed credibility far more than the president of the United States removing her for a legitimate reason. We are 19 days away from the September.
It does affect Fed credibility. And like I was saying, I am more and more convinced that Trump is coming after these agencies to destroy them and make them something completely different. I don't know. Like, I listened to Devin Nunes talk for a whole hour on X22, which I am not an X22 listener, but somebody sent me this episode because it was all Devin Nunes.
I don't even know what X22 is.
Don't worry about it. He's our competition. So anyways, I don't listen to the competition. I don't want them to think I'm grifting or getting good ideas from them. No. X22 had Devin Nunes on, and I'm always interested in what Devin Nunes has to say. He's the president of Truth Social. He's running the president's social media company. I think he's pretty read in. And he obviously is the one who released the whole Russiagate thing. He was on the intelligence community, blah, 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 blah. Anything he says, I'm interested in hearing. So he did this big, long episode. And in the episode, he talked about how they built Truth Social and they had to have all of their own infrastructure, all of their own servers, all of their own internet access points. You know, they've got a new streaming service that's going to compete with Netflix, all of their own servers. He's like, it's better technology than what they have because we took all the best stuff and incorporated it and we're stood up on our own servers. And he talked about banking, how they couldn't bank. And so they've stood up their own bank and their own crypto. They are, I mean, basically what I'm telling you is eventually I'm going to be spending a lot more time on Truth Social. He understands, like he was talking about having to get independence from the Federal Reserve system because they were being blocked at the Federal Reserve level.
Oh, wow.
Do you know how significant it is the president of the United States saw that the Federal Reserve couldn't serve him and had to go around it? Do you think he gives a beep about the Federal Reserve now? Do you think he thinks the Federal Reserve serves a necessary function that can't be worked around? No, he now sees it as a tool of control, which is what it always was. And that's my belief that they're coming after the IRS, coming after the Fed. They're going to reshape it. I don't think they can get rid of it or will get rid of it, but they're going to do something to reshape it. Devin Nunes was talking about having their own exchange and their own reserves and Bitcoin reserves. And it was pretty like they're bypassing the Fed completely over at Truth Social. They partnered with cryptocurrency.com for tokens and stuff like that. It's pretty incredible. So Trump coming after the CDC, coming after the Fed, coming after all these major institutions, CIA, deep state. Wow. That's a lot of stuff going on. And it's causing the Democrats to really say the quiet part out loud. This is Gavin Newsom, and this clip has been talked about a lot this weekend. He said something, and it's not the first time it's been said, but I mean, do illegals vote? I mean, should illegals really be worried about cops standing outside of voting centers? I mean, they wouldn't vote, right? Because
why would they care?
Yeah, because they're just here for a better life, and they just want to work and
just
contribute.
Making a buck.
Right? They wouldn't vote because it's illegal.
In LA, do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake. So we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently. In LA,
well, I wouldn't be too concerned if the National Guard was outside a polling center. I'd just show them my driver's license and walk in.
Yeah, Gavin.
Right? I mean, it's going to chill the vote. Whose vote? The illegals. They won't be able to vote.
They think it's important.
Everybody knows what's happening here. It's time for us to put a stake down.
Yeah, Gavin, we all know what's happening.
The Democrats are freaking out and can't say the quiet part out loud. I mean, that's really what it sounds like here. Oh, you're disenfranchising voters. Which voters? The voters. Which ones? The voters. The ones without ID.
Our voters.
Yeah. Which ones are those? The black people. Do you think they can't get ID? No, that's not what I said. But you did. You know what I mean? Like they've lost the plot. There was a DNC convention or some meeting where it was just laugh. I should have pulled this clip. But at the opening of the DNC convention this last year, they got up and opened it on, we're so grateful to be here on stolen land. And the land is stolen. Yeah. And, the genocide that brought this land about and all this stuff. So James Carville, one of the better Democrat pundits, although he's kind of batshit crazy sometimes, he does call it like it is. And the thing I like about James Carville is, despite disagreeing with almost everything and believing he's part of the whole deep state cabal, he gets it. He understands the DNC and the RNC's main purpose, and it would be wise for us to understand this as well. Okay. When you understand the logic of a thing, what it's there to do, and that it can't not but do the thing it's designed to do, okay, then we don't create expectations for it that we shouldn't have. James Carville understands this. Part of the problem with the Democrat Party is people have had an expectation of it to do things that it can't do, but it's very good at doing what it does do.
Are you bringing this up in an election? Okay? What we did, but all kinds of things with slavery, with experimenting with drugs. What we did during what happened in the Confederacy during the Civil War, Andersonville. And it's okay. This is an election, and the DNC is not the place to discuss this. Understand this. The DNC does not exist to right wrongs. It doesn't exist to acknowledge the more unpleasant parts of history. It doesn't exist to make people feel good. It exists, get this through your head, to win elections. Now, do you think that is going to help us win elections, say, like we did in Iowa, which is, I think, close to Minnesota? My geography is there.
You're good on that.
By talking about land theft from the Dakotas. We're not. Please stop this. In the name of a just, merciful God, don't you see what's happening? Don't you see where this has brought us to? For God's sakes, lady, what is Ken Martin doing that? You don't have but one job, Ken. It's to win. Honestly, I mean, she's probably a friend of yours from Minnesota. I'm sure she's a perfectly elegant, nice person. That has nothing to do with this. You're supposed to try to win fucking elections.
The purpose of the DNC and the RNC both is to win elections. Mm-hmm. I wrote about this in my rewrite of the pamphlet Common Sense in Common Sense Applied Today, that the two political parties have essentially become a monarchy, that they kind of hold that same function today, and they hold the keys to power. Their function is power. Their function is to control and win elections. And between the two of them, that's all they do. Mm-hmm. Everything else that we place upon them, our expectations that they're going to get the candidate they think they can drag across the line.
And it's a lock.
If that means,
how often have you seen somebody besides an R or a D win?
No, very rarely.
It's a lock.
Yep. So their job is to drag candidates across the line. Good, bad, or indifferent. Yep. Skeletons in their closet or not. Moral ineptness or not. Can you win or not? Some of the candidates can win aren't the best people. The best people aren't the candidates that can win.
Yeah. That's
the party. Its own logic is just to win elections. And then you introduce, well, if our purpose is to win elections, how bad is cheating? When it's a zero-sum game, mm-hmm. and your only purpose is winning, you'll deny your history, you'll morph, you'll change.
If the only thing is winning, then there is no cheating.
There is no cheating. Exactly. Exactly. Just got to be aware of it. Bannon said this on his PBS Frontline documentary.
I say this all the time. It's quite evident. This is a long war. It took us many decades to get here. It's going to take us many decades to get out. And the Trump particularly the phony Republicans that kind of say they're with President Trump, et cetera, are not in for this long fight. This is a long, tough fight. The left understands it's a long, tough fight. You see the way they organize around it and how they embed into these institutions. This entire process we're going through now is to purge these institutions of this. And it's a long, tough fight, and it's far from over, and it's going to last. To actually get it done will take decades.
Yeah.
I say this all the time.
They're
It's
going
quite
to have
evident.
to
This is a
redirect
long
the government. And just like the government had one direction prior to 1940s or really 1930s, and then Roosevelt redirected the government, it took them 20, 30, 40 years to get the ideology of the government to be collectivist. Right? Because it started out with a bunch of people that are like actually defending your common law rights and actually wanting to limit the size of government. And it took a couple presidents, Woodrow Wilson, and it took Franklin, and eventually they redirected government. Government's a jobs program. Government provides benefits. Government is the source of the economy. We print the money or authorize the printing of it, right? Had to change that. And then that carried forward. And then eventually we're at now where people who work in government understand the word collective. Have I told you about the email I saw from the health department or the county so there was a landowner who had a nice little piece of property, multiple acres. It wasn't far from town, like pretty close to Port Angeles, but his little dirt road had no power line.
Okay.
Right? So there was like a short plat that had been done, and there was a bunch of 5-acre lots. You know, it was like one of those, somebody took their 100 acres and divided it up.
Yeah.
So long dirt road, breaking up all these lots, no power. And this is during COVID. There's like no transformers. Everything's emergency supply.
Yep.
So they're like, we're not adding these long runs.
Okay.
Right? We don't have the materials to add power supply.
Got it.
This is, by the way, like stunning. They're saying you can't build on your lot because we can't bring you power. So this guy goes, well, that's fine. He's a meteorologist. He's like, I'm really into solar. He said, I'll build my own solar array. And we're not talking small solar array. We're talking like pylons. I mean, we're talking like 5,000 square feet of solar panels.
Okay. Got it.
Enough. Okay. With a whole building for just battery storage.
Okay.
So he's going to be off grid.
Okay.
County's like, no, you can't do that. He's like, well, you can't bring me power, so I'm just going to provide my own. No, you can't do that. No, we require power hookup for all development. So he's got this email that says, we will not allow you to develop on your property without power hookup because it's not good for the, quote, collective. The county wrote the word collective. They may as well said comrade. This is not a good plan for the collective. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, don't say that. You just say it's against policy or against code or this is who you can go talk to override the thing. No, it's not good for the collective. You're making a subjective call. He ended up taking it up to the state, and the state was like, no, we authorize like off-grid cabins. So they had to authorize it. But the deal that he had to cut was when they do bring power down his road,
he has to connect,
and he has to sell back to the power company all of the power. So this is the way his contract was written. And he was like, tell me if this seems fair, but it's the only way he could get it done. So he gets all his power up until they connect. Once they connect, he has one of those reverse meters, so he feeds the grid. He sells his power to the power company at wholesale, and then he has to buy it back at retail.
No.
He cannot keep his own power.
No.
And that's exactly right. He cannot keep his own power. He has to put it onto the grid and then buy it back. So whatever power he uses, so, you know, you've got 3 meters. How much power is created? How much power goes to the grid? The power in the middle is what he takes before he sells it back. The way it says is you sell your power. So basically he gets paid wholesale on the gross amount and then has to pay retail on what he uses, even though he's the generator of it and the one who invested in all of the panels and everything.
Okay.
Hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
Yeah, for real.
This is good for the collective. If only everybody would be completely power neutral and buy back their power at retail, that'd be great.
Oh, we should definitely do an ad.
Okay, let's get her done. Let's do it.
Boom. This is going to be for NFL.
Oh, yeah. It's football season.
Set your clocks, mark your calendars, and buckle up for the best NFL primetime football action starting September 4th on Westwood One. You can catch all the bone-crushing hits, last-second heroics, and edge-of-your-seat action that NFL Thursday, Sunday, and Monday nights have to offer. Whether you're tailgating, driving, or chilling at home, don't miss a single snap. Listen on the NFL app, the Westwood One Sports app at westwoodonesports.com, or just say, Alexa, open Westwood One Sports. If it's NFL, it's on Westwood One.
Every time we say Alexa, open Westwood One, I honestly believe at my dad's house that Alexa is like playing Alexa Westwood One. Alexa, play Peasants Perspective podcast.
Louder.
Say it louder. All right. Steve Bannon also reminds us that if the Democrats do come back into power, it's going to be rough.
If Hakeem Jeffries raises $2 billion, and this all comes down to a handful of seats in California and New York in 2026, and if somehow we don't hold on to the seats, this very thin majority, the first action Hakeem Jeffries will take will be to move to impeach Donald Trump. And if somehow the election's stolen in 2028, like they stole it in 2020, the first thing they're going to do is it's all going to go back again to try to indict Trump and to try to indict people around Trump and put Trump in prison. I say this all the time. It's quite evident this is a long war. It took us many, many decades to get here. It's going to take us many, many decades to get out. And the Trump, particularly the phony Republicans that kind of say they're with President Trump, et cetera, are not in for this long fight. This is a long, tough fight. The left understands it's a long, tough fight. You see the way they organize around it and how they embed into these institutions. This entire process we're going through now is to purge these institutions of this. And it's a long, tough fight, and it's far from over, and it's going to last. To actually get it done will take decades.
That's one of the things that I have had a perspective all along. Since the day I walked away from the Capitol on January 6th, I said this will be considered the opening shots in the Civil War. And I still believe that. This is a civil war that we're living through that's unlike the last Civil War, and it's unlike the Civil War before that. The Revolutionary War, as we called it, really accurately could be called the first American Civil War. It was loyalists versus populists. It's really what it was. The populists didn't know what government was going to be after that. They didn't know what they were leading was into a revolution. They were trying to change their rights with the king, petition the king, protest the king's taxes, right? They were trying to change things. Many historians have said the first revolution, the American Revolution, really could have been defined as an American Civil War. So this is the third Civil War that we've experienced on our shores. And the first one, right, was obvious. It was the foreign power. The second one was over ideology and this concept of slavery as well as sovereignty. Because with the concept of property ownership of real beings came to who's the sovereign? Is it the state or federal, right? And that debate was answered in the Civil War. The first Civil War, the first revolution was one of the first main wars fought with, and I'm not accurate in saying this, but I'm pretty accurate with saying this. I'm pretty sure it was the largest scale war fought with gunpowder at that time. And if I'm inaccurate, I'm just flat out inaccurate, but I can't think of a major conflict prior to that. I'm sure there were lots of gun battles, but I think this was like the big one, right? This is where it became industrial. And then you go to the Civil War and you've got the machine gun and the repeating rifles, and you have a new set of technology, which then carries forward. This Civil War is a psyop war. This is an online war. This is a digital war. This is where assassination doesn't come in the form of a bullet. It comes in the form of a digital cancellation and a debanking, right? This is a different type of war. There are bodies that have stacked up.
Character assassination, media, psyoping, Truman Show kind of stuff. They can cast out and project out a reality that's not really true. And if you're not living in reality, they have you. And they're leading you around. You're in the. They can get you to believe anything.
If they can get you to question what's in your pants, I mean, they can get you to question who's in charge. Clearly you're not. So that is really the case. This is a war. The revolution will be podcast. We are, doing our little part in this thing, even though our audience isn't huge, but it's growing every day. Thank you very much. We're a part of this. We have to live here. Whether Trump wins or loses, whether Barack Obama wins or loses, the left, the right, the Bolshevik fascists, Bolshevik communist fascists, or the evangelical right. It doesn't matter who wins. I got to take care of my obligations, my family, the things that I cannot discharge. I have to feed myself. I have to live for the next day.
And Bannon's right. You know, this is going to extend past Donald Trump's presidency. And I don't necessarily believe that the fight will continue to be centered around Donald Trump in 5 years.
No, it'll be centered around us, the people.
Yes.
And that's the thing. We need to pick our direction that we want to head, and we have to march that way.
Yes.
With a real focus. Clear eyes. Yes. We want freedom. We want liberty. We want independence. We want law and order. You know, and so we have to pick that direction and go that direction and be undeterred. And we have to drag our government with us, which is in many ways, I think, what Trump represents. He represents that Reagan conservative and that blue dog Democrat that came together to try to bolster up Americana and what that meant. And then that was kind of pandered to by Bill Clinton. And then George Bush kind of made us proud to be Americans because we were going to go take out the bad guys around the world.
Yeah.
Kind of sold us a little short on that one, right? The moral war against the war on terror. We're a little disappointed, but, you know, we got over our shame because we elected our first black president because, you know, this will prove to the world we're not racist. We're not redneck. We're advanced.
And besides, we got work to do in Afghanistan.
Yeah, we got work to do in Afghanistan. And then that kind of fell short. So, and then the Tea Party comes along. We're like, dang it, we've had enough. This is stupid. The taxation, the money. Trump represents this movement that's been happening for 30, 35 years of trying to restore Americana, restore common sense, avoid the politically correct narrative, which then turns into wokeness. You know what I mean? We're a part of that. You're a part of that. By listening to the show, by sharing the show with people, slowly but surely, we change our mindset into the peasant's perspective. What do I have to do to make it through? What do I have to do to impose my constitution onto the government's constitution, right? How do I get them to follow their own rules? Well, a lot of that has to do with the way we approach them. We inquire. And there's we can go into more depth on that, but when you ask them certain questions, they can't answer them, and that's when you get things done. When you make accusations and allegations, they can blow you off. So we have to approach it differently. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for the public side of the show today. It's a new month, so we've got to start doing some private streaming. I've got one video on the private side with Aunt Maxine Waters, and she wants us to invoke the 25th article of the Constitution, and we are going to be talking about the 25th article of the Constitution. I'm not sure if any of you know what that is, but we're going to find out in the Rumble private chat. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It was a little quiet over on YouTube. No problem. Weedham Boys was over there. And Marisol, I see you over there. Good morning from Idaho. And Pray the Rosary Daily, caught you there. Frazier, caught you there as well. During the cabinet meeting on August 26, 2025, Rubio himself joked about having 4 jobs and that he needed Labor Day for more than any others. Yes. Metal is good and ain't it grand? Fire them all. Yes, please do. It's glorious. I'm curious what the, let's actually ask Grok. Let's ask Grok how many federal employees have been fired or terminated. How many federal.
Should we go private while we're searching?
No.
Okay.
Have been fired, positions eliminated or put on leave since Trump took office. Ooh. You know, for the net loss of jobs, like you shut down USAID, but DHS is hiring. Right. So you can't just say like, what's the net? There's probably been a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Since President took office on January 20th, 2025, the day that I was let out of prison. Let's see. Reduce the federal bureaucracy, initially aiming for 10% or 2.3 million civil employees and prioritize mission critical functions. Where's the number? As of September 1st, 2025, the total impact is approximately 200,000 federal civilian employees affected. Oh. Well, that's disappointing.
Whoop-de-doo-dah. That's 1 month of jobs. That's nothing.
I was way more 154,000 got buyouts.
Okay.
Sounds like this is actually a really hard number to track. Fired and eliminated, 80,000. Positions eliminated, 120,000. Put on leave, 70,000. Voluntary buyouts, 154,000.
Whoa, that's a lot more than...
Total affected, 200,000. Yeah, you've got these numbers,
they don't add up.
Yeah. Agency level impacts. Department of Defense, 55,000 plus. Big cuts. IRS Treasury, 31,000. Woohoo!
Yeah, you're already over $500,000.
I don't know, man.
Interesting.
All the numbers are fake. Anti-Socialist League says, us peasants are all in for the revolution. J6 was a setup, throw the political opposition into prison. Woohoo, amen to that. And Carlitos, good morning from Texas. All right, guys, we've got like a full room. Everybody's here, and it's
our numbers are surging.
Our numbers are surging. Quick, do an ad read. Do an ad read before
I can't. I don't have the metrics to do it yet.
Oh, no.
I need 11 more minutes.
11 more minutes. Well, we're going to be like halfway through our private by the time we get there. This is a holiday. I don't have to teach a class this afternoon. So
we're going to be here all day.
Yeah, we're going to hit our whole month. We're going to get our 30 hours of streaming right now. We're going to put this Rumble stream infrastructure to the test, and we're going to put our audience to the test too. Who can stick around?
Boop, they're all gone.
My family's out of town. I got nowhere to go. I got nothing to do but work after this. Oh man. Someone was asking me, like, why do you do a morning show? And I was like,
because we like to punish ourselves.
I was like, because I'm a peasant and I go to work all day. And he's like, well, that makes sense. I was like, I have a family, so if I do it in the evening, that takes time from them. And if I do it during the day, that takes time from, productive, actual money-making activities. And so the only time I have for myself is the early morning. He's like, oh, that makes sense. All right, guys, that's it for the show for the 14th time that I've said that. And we will talk to you guys again tomorrow. And please don't forget to see, we just like peaked here. I don't want to end the show on a peak, or maybe we should.
Well, you still have a video. We were going to do private, and you're going to run some more videos.
Well, the one video I was going to run was Maxine Waters.
We haven't run it yet.
Into the private?
Yeah.
So let's just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just do it. You guys are all getting in here. So this is Maxine Waters, and she is fit to be tied, man. She is super upset.
As far as I'm concerned, we have to move very aggressively. It is not about, lingering and trying to think that maybe the courts will help us. I want, even though I know it may not happen, the cabinet that he's appointed, a bunch of his sycophants who probably won't do what I would recommend. It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness, to determine that something's wrong with this president. And I would suggest that we move very aggressively to talk about the danger to this country and to our democracy, and not play around with this, because this is absolutely one of the most destructive things that this president could do.
Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz, I mean, your take on this, because I think it's jarring to hear Congresswoman Waters say it's time for the 25th Amendment. But I mean, presidents have been impeached for much less.
So Maxine Waters just, the 25th article of the Constitution of the United States of America. She goes through the entire label, right, of the Constitution of the United States of America. What Article 25? I'm pretty sure it doesn't go to Article 25. Like, you mean Amendment 25? She is such a dingleberry.
Yeah, dude, I was going to say we could have some super cuts on her.
Everything about Maxine Waters is just screams out corruptocrat.
Oh, yeah.
Screams out corruptocrat. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Nothing about, I remember when she was grilling the student loan providers from the big banks, and they were all like, we got out of student loans. We don't provide student loans. We got out of the student loan business. She's like, well, like she had this whole line of questioning about student loans. And they're like, no, we stopped doing student loans. Well, student loans are expensive. And they're like, yeah, that's why we don't do them anymore. When the government started saying students didn't have to pay them back, boop, they dipped out. So that was my video for private. So now we have no reason to go private. So
shoot.
Can we? So let's see. Did she say sycophants? She said sycophants. She said sycophants. Yes.
Sycopants.
Sycophants. Donald Trump. How many more minutes so you can do another ad read?
Well, more than 2. Let's see.
At this point, we're just
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Oh my gosh, 7 minutes.
Why don't we go private and then start doing some searches for new videos?
All right, we're going to do that. All right, we're going private, you guys. We've got so many of you. Let's see how many of you can stick over with us into Rumble Private. And for the rest of you, we will talk to you guys again tomorrow morning. Thanks so much. Don't forget to